another interesting episode of the Working in Tech podcast. And today I have the pleasure of chatting with Olatunde Badmus, a passionate tech leader dedicating to helping other tech professionals thrive. As senior technical PM at Oracle, Olatunde draws from his diverse leadership experience, including founding the National Nigerian Student Association as a student. He holds an Executive MBA, Master's in Computer Science, and certifications, including the PMP Scrum Master and Scrum Coach. And in this episode, we'll be sharing insights from his journey in tech, thriving as a program manager, and empowering aspiring leaders. He'll be providing free game on his journey, breaking into tech, developing technical and leadership skills, managing complex programs and projects, and advancing to senior technical roles. I hope I did a bit of justice there.
Yes, you did. Yeah. That was awesome. Thank you for introducing.
Great. Okay, so I usually like to start at the very beginning, right?
Okay.
Because a lot of my viewers, so what this Working in Tech podcast is geared towards is basically helping people who might not have had any prior experience about tech or don't even know where to start building out their tech career to figure out what ways they can do it. And oftentimes it starts from like how, what, like, so for you, for example, what was that first point that you decided you wanted a career in tech? Has it always been something that you've always wanted to do? Or was it something that you kind of like stumbled upon like most of us?
Yeah. So I would say to me, I started out as I studied mechanical engineering in my undergrad, and when I came to the US for my master's, I still studied mechanical engineering. Later, I switched into tech, and the reason I switched into tech was not because the money or the perks in tech. I wanted to solve real life problems.
Mm.
I wanted to see that the problem I'm solving, it's having like a real life solution into what people are doing. It's more of like building a product and seeing people using those products. There's this joy, there's this satisfaction. So it was actually what drove me into tech. That was really what drove me into tech. I wanted to solve problems and I wanted to see that people are happy using the things that I'm building. That was, to me, that was the game changer from the place of mechanical engineering into an IT person.
So what was that journey like? Because again, I know like of course it's close enough as adjacent, but it's not directly tech. And it's probably not even the direct skills that you need. So how did you go from okay, now deciding that you want to impact people in tech the way that you did, but also then going that step further to maybe grab the skills and then maybe apply to the roles and convince that first person, right? Like, okay, I may not have the degree in this at this beginning point, but I do have the passion, the drive, and everything I need to succeed in this role.
I would say to me it's been like a burning passion and a desire inside of me. Like I said, I started as a mechanical engineer. At the time, I was a school administrator while I was in Nigeria. So I did a lot of stuff. At the time, I was an SAP consultant. But when I got into tech, I looked at myself. Okay, I did a SWOT analysis, my strength, my weakness, my opportunity, and strength. I said, you know what? What is it that do I love most doing? I found, okay, I love communicating with people. I'm good at talking to people. I can talk an Eskimo to buy a fridge. That I just found out that's part of my skill. So I said, okay, that's fine. What I'm gonna do is this. I want to go into tech, but I don't want to go into the technical part of tech. And I was okay, what are the other part of tech? Okay, there's a technical program, there's a program manager, there's a product manager. And I found out that at that point, it's more like a communication piece where you are communicating with your your stakeholders, cross-functional group. It's being able to articulate technical things in a non-technical way that you're able to get a buy-in. So I started reading books, I started attending classes, I started watching YouTube video. But to me, the journey was not that smooth. But what really gave me an edge is I like talking to people. I like communicating to people, and like more of a salesperson. I can get a buy-in if I really want to get a buy-in. So it was at that point I said, "This is going to be a good fit for me," and I gave it a shot.
That's dope. And you kind of like touched on something that I was hoping you would expand on a little bit more. So
Yeah.
you talked about like, watching videos, learning things, but it been difficult. Can you share some of those difficulties in your journey and how you overcame them?
Yeah, I would say the difficulties in my journey, because coming from a different space that is not more technical into the space, is being able to understand those technical pieces. Like I started out, at the time I started reading about different languages, Python, Java. So at first, getting into that scene, it was like, oh, what's this? What exactly is this thing? So it was a bit hard initially. I had issues. I had to attend boot camps. I had to take trainings. I had to take some certifications. It wasn't that easy. I'm really going to tell you the truth. But what kept me going was just the focus. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get over this thing. And the second thing that kept me going is the fact that I love the fact that I'm going to be on the non-technical side, in the technical space, more of like product management, program management, and I love it. So I never saw them as a obstacle that I just saw them, these are just the normal challenges of life, and if I'm focused enough, I would actually get over them.
That's a major key. If you're focused enough, you're gonna get over it. I love it.
Yeah.
So, what was it like? Talk me through the experience of landing that first role, because I've heard it over and over again on this podcast. Like the hardest thing to do is to get your foot through the door on that first job. It usually gets a little easier after that. What was that experience like for you in your own journey?
I would tell you, to me, it wasn't that hard, and the reason is this: I think a lot, and I really analyze a lot. So when I went into tech, I began to ask myself, what are people doing well in tech? This. I went on Google. I began to search for resumes templates,
Hmm.
because I know resume template. I searched for resumes and I saw some of the templates that have given people good offers. I began to cross reference. What is different from this resume? So I was not working forward. I was working backwards.
Hmm.
Like I looked at where I wanted to go. Like I projected my mind in there. I was now walking backward. It became easy for me. So all of the steps I was taking, I already projected myself. Olatunde, if you happen to be like a senior technical program manager, what exactly would you be doing? I'm like, okay, I'm going to take, oh, I think I would have taken my PMP. Boom. I went for PMP. I think I'd have done like a Scrum Master. Boom. Because I was cross-checking those top resumes to my resume. Oh, I'm not doing this thing, then I need to go do. So I did that while I was in school, and that helped me. In fact, I came to the US January. By March, I already got a job then with what's it called, Packaging Corporation of America. That was the biggest packaging firm in the whole of US, I think, and North America. And I'm like, how did you get it? So I kept walking backwards. So to me, and the first job I got after then, I got a job with Cummins as a senior data analyst. Before I now moved to, I got my job with Walmart as also a senior data analyst before I went into other space. So it's to me, it's like more of, I looked at the resume, I began to cross reference, and I give myself like 3 or 4 months, and I do boom. Somehow, it's just more of like a key I have in there.
That's a super interesting experience. So, can you talk me into that first role? Like, what was the interview process like? What did they ask you? How did you? What did you have other interviews before that? Like, how did that play out?
Okay, the first one, when I submitted, I was called, and they were like, "Oh, I saw your resume. It's super cool." And what I did, like I told you, and I looked at the resume, I looked at the keywords they need, because I know sometimes software. So I put in those keywords. There are some keywords. Maybe they need someone that is going to evaluate these simulations. I put that evaluate simulations into my resume. So there's like a match already. So the first thing they said, can you introduce yourself? And what I've done is this, and I usually tell people that all of the projects you've done in life, everything you have in that resume, make sure you can talk about that thing end to end.
Mm,
So I already had a script for all of the lines on my resume. I had more of like a perfect script. You
mm,
wake me up at night, you ask me what my name is Olatunde Badmus, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. So I knew what they would ask me. I'd prepared again and again and again. So the first one was just, can we meet you, introduce yourself? I told them who I am. They said, okay, why do you want this role? It's more of like I know the questions, and I was already prepared for those questions. So it was a bit hard. I think the first thing was more of like the challenge of speaking with these people. But the first one was okay. The second one was a bit technical at that time. They began asking me technical questions. Okay, what exactly? Why do you want this company? What are your fears? What are your strengths? How are you going to help us if you come on board? So I've already read, I read a lot about that company. And also what I do is that somehow I find the interesting things about this company because I
Mm,
like talking people from the formal side to the non-formal side. So at that point, there is a connection. I found out that company was involved in sport. I said, oh, well, by the way, I checked you guys online, found out well, you invite like millions of dollars into sport. Wow, do you know? Well, I'm an Arsenal fan. Can you believe that? And your company is supporting us now. Somehow I was beginning to have a leverage. It became more relaxed. I was like, oh, that's nice. So even know what we are doing. I say, yes, I've read a lot about you guys. And honestly speaking, I love what you guys are doing. And it's somewhere I would like to give a shot. So it's more of just that connection at that first time.
there's something that you really touch on there that I think is a piece that a lot of people miss in terms of interviewing. So the hardest part typically for any role is going to be getting your resume, especially in this current market,
Yeah.
getting your resume looked at by someone and taking on and saying, okay, we want this candidate. But the next hardest part is getting through that interview. Oftentimes, you're not the only one they're talking to. Even at the advanced stages, there's still multiple people there. So there's so many things that can basically take them off and say that's not the right guy. But that thing you touch on about going deep in that research, doing that extra work to figure out what are those extra things, because there's a way that you can communicate that you already care about this company without even saying I care about the company. You figuring out something that's completely off ramp like sports is one of those ways. Can you talk a little bit about in your experience interviewing at different roles, how doing that deep level research and finding more about the company has helped you?
Yeah, to me, like what I someone said, the difference between the extra and extraordinary, it's just going, doing the extra. And those extra often it's different from the conventional thing. So in a conventional interview, everyone knows the hierarchy. Introduce yourself. Can I meet you? Why do you want to work here? What's your strength? What's your weakness? What have you done? Can you explain your project? All of those hierarchies. So what I do besides that is that I make an in-depth research about the company, about some interesting things the company is doing. Perhaps maybe the company has invested a lot in sports, like I told you, or maybe last year, like there was a time I make research about the company. I think during the end of the year, they invited a comedian, and he cracked some jokes. And interesting, the CEO was so excited about it, and they had as a newsletter. So when I got, I said, "Oh, could you imagine what Kevin Hart said on the 25th of February? Oh my goodness! How did you get to know?" I said, "Man, I've been following you guys up, man." So at that point, you are beginning to tell them that it's not just that I need this company, I want to work here, but I'm really interested in you guys. Like I've read much about you, and I love being a part of this. So
Mm.
at that point, whenever I throw in that, I know whenever I throw in that, it's like you've broken the ice. Everybody's just relaxed at that. Oh, Kevin Hart, how did you get to know? I said, I saw your CEO. He was just excited.
That's really amazing. So you've definitely unlocked a lot for me there. Um, Networking is one part of tech that's so important. I've heard this over and over again, right? And how has that worked for you in your career, or what have you done in that space that has paid maybe some rewards for you in your own tech journey as well?
I would say honestly, say networking is one of my biggest strengths. And
Mm,
like I tell people, you see, this words that your work will speak for you
mm,
no longer works again. There are 1,000 people doing the same thing that you are doing. You must find a way for people to get to know what you are doing. And the best way is what I call the relationship currency. There are two currency ultimately in the workplace. We have what they call more of like a technical currency. That's your job, what you pay to do. And we have the relationship currency. Now, the relationship currency is investing into relationship, getting to know people because oftentimes what you are doing, the people top there, the people that have the juice that could change the scope of things don't know what you are doing. So you need to take a step forward. And the way I've really done it is that I send an email to people. I would like to be in your mentorship circle. And when I tell you I would like to be in your mentorship circle, I'm just going to give a phrase like, I was in this all hands meeting. You said so about this book you read. Let's say you read about the Rich Dad and Poor Dad, just for example, and you said about this line. You know what? I read about that book, and that book has been a great help to me. In fact, I would like to be in your mentorship circle so as to get to know more about you. You know, it's more of like a key. When I get into that mentorship circle, at that point, and I'll begin to explain myself. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. And I tell you, it has really worked because I tell people, don't just go to that work and all you do, you sit down and you do what you are told to do, man. I usually tell people, you know what, you just shot yourself in the foot. You just shot yourself in the foot, you know. Somehow you must be able to build a network, a very strong network. I ask people like, who has visibility to what you're doing besides your manager? Who can actually speak for you in closed doors when you are not there? Someone should be able to say, you know what, I know Ola. I've worked with Ola. Ola is this, Ola is that. When you are not there, and that is how that is how promotion is being determined. I usually tell people this. I'm sorry to go. I tell people meritocracy in the US, it's subjective. And when people don't know meritocracy is subjective, they're gonna feel so bad. Like, oh, I've been working here 20 years, nobody's it's subjective. And the subjectiveness of meritocracy, it's a function of relationship. If people don't know you, they can't speak for you. You can be the best, but if they don't know you, they can't speak for you. If they can't speak for you, then somehow your job has been hindered. Your job has been hindered, the promotion might not be coming. So somehow I see this a lot in the technical space because when you're so technical, you're just concerned about your code. I need to deliver my project, blah, blah, blah. I said, it's good, man. But you know what? You don't build relationship. You know, I usually just tell people.
So if you have to pick three skills that
Yeah.
are important to have in your role, what would those three skills be?
The first skills is going to be effective communication. And it's not just my role. The truth is this: in anything you do, no matter how technical you are, if you can't fully express what you are building, people assume you don't know it. There must be an effective communication. If you can build heaven to earth, but if you can't communicate it, nobody's going to take you to go meet the vice president. You say, oh, this guy is good, just keep him here, let him build. This guy is not so good, but this guy could speak well. Take him to the vice president, let him go to the communication, and they get to know you and you're up there. So to me, it's effective communication. Know how to present to C levels. That means to vice president, to president, to executive level. Tell people when you want to present, make it short and succinct. That's the first one. I would say effective communication. And number two, it's going to be technical skills like what I'm doing. I learn more about Scrum Master, agile methodology, know how to um, build my technical team, know all of those things. And the third one is going to be networking. Those three things are very important. The first one, I want to be good at communicating my value to people. Number two, I want to be very technical enough. So I don't just want to be speaking without not knowing what I'm doing. I want to understand the technicality of what I'm doing, understand the Scrum methodology, the architectural plan, everything I'm building. And the third one, you know what? I want to network. I don't just want to sit on that seat. And when it's 5 p.m., I go home. I don't want to do that. Yeah.
So there's something that you said that I've kind of like heard in many different phrases. There's one of my friends, for example, who's a sales engineer, and he said something that I found very powerful. He said, you get relegated to who you sound like. He's like, so kind of like touching on your communication point. He says, oftentimes the C level is where decisions get made if you're trying to sell a product. So if you work all the way to the C level, but you still talk like an engineer, they're going to send you back down. Go talk to the engineer. So when you get to that C level, you have to be able to talk in their terms. First of all, you might be talking about, how integration is going to work, or whatever. But when you get there, you abstract all those details away and just get to business value. By the time we plug in this data, your productivity is going to see a 20% rise, and this is going to save you X amount of money, or this is going to increase revenue by X amount by cutting out this waste. So I definitely see what you're saying 100%. And speaking of that communication, there has to be ways that you can grow it. I can already tell from the little research I've done on you. I know you read a lot of books. I also know that you're a member of the Toastmasters. What are other ways, or maybe if there are no other ways, but I'm sure there are, what are the ways that you've been able to grow and develop your communication skill as a professional?
Yeah, I would say the first thing I did, I joined. I'm part of Toastmaster. Number two, I read books. Someone gave me a book. It's called by Dale Carnegie. It's I think How to Build Friends and Influence People. That's one of the best book I've read on communication. It's very good. And the third one I actually listened to YouTube. And the fourth one is this. I look for leaders that are doing far better than I am, and I network with them. And that has really helped me in terms of communication. Let me share an example with you. There was a time in my communication, I'm good. I could communicate with people at my level, but when I go to the C level, to the vice president, the executive president, there's this, I've not been able to break into that space. And I had a mentor, and he told me, you know what, when you go to the C level, you make what you want to say short. Those guys are too busy. They don't have all the time for all of the details. Go there with your data points. Tell them this is where we are. This is what we're going to do to get to this point. And this is the results that it's going to generate to the company. Please don't go there telling them, I built this last year. We did this. We had this meeting. He said, no. He has listened to me again and again. I said, young man, this is where you're making mistakes. And this is what you're going to do that's going to help you. So, I also, like I said, I leverage on mentorship, people that are ahead of me that are doing the stuffs that I want to do. I go learn from them, and that has really really helped me. And I'm part of different association at work, because the more you speak, the better you are. When you speak, somehow it improves your confidence. You go to the next point. I tell people, join association, good association, as much as you can, because somehow it will give you the right exposure, and the right exposure is going to improve your communication skills.
That's a major key right there. So for people who want to become PMs, right?
Yeah.
What is the salary progression like over the lifetime of your career? So where do most PMs start out when they're entry level? What is kind of like the mid range? And then where's like the highest earning potential?
Okay, I would say for the PM, let's say bachelors or with masters, oftentimes it's maybe 90 base, 90, 100 and above, 90, the 90, and it progresses to like 200, 250. When you added up pegs, some companies will give you like stocks of $200,000, $300,000. It's a good one. Even at just the starting level with a BSc, some companies will give you just the base like $80,000 or $90,000, and that is aside your sign-up bonus, your stocks, and some other things. So it's a good space. Yeah.
That's really great. So what certifications do you consider must-haves in your field? And if you could go also a step further about the things that each of those certifications you're talking about will help anybody who takes them unlock.
Yeah, I would say the highest one that I know of is PMP. It's regarded as the highest thing, and one of the reasons I did it, like I told you, I like working backwards.
Bless you.
And I found out most people top there, they all have PMP. Oh my God, all the directors have PMP. I just need to give this a shot. And it is considered to be one of the hardest certifications. And especially for what I've done, I passed it the second time. So the PMP actually helps. And the PMP helps you to think as a program manager, project and a programmer, because it's a whole lot of different scenarios, a whole lot of things are happening, right? when you're building this thing, if there's no money, how do you do it? Okay, if the people you are working with, if they are being aggressive, how do you do it? If this thing is not happening, if you are not getting the resources you need from your leadership, how? So it's a scenario based. It helps you play a lot of scenarios in your head, and with the end point, you know what? We are going to get this project done irrespective of any challenges we're having. So
Mm,
it has helped me to be able to think as a program manager from different scenarios, different scenarios. However, the scenarios, the end goal of every program manager is this: execution. Don't
mm,
tell me, oh, we don't have money. The end point, you should be able to go through all of those scenarios and ensure that, you know what, you've gotten an execution. That's when you stand and say, oh, yeah, I'm the PM.
mm,
The PM, it's not just about communication. It's not just about, oh, we need to initiate the project. It's not about initiation. It's not about the planning. It's not about the cross-functional teams. Those are part of the PM, but the main thing of the PM is results. If the results are not there, if you've not executed your project, then uh, you are not yet there.
mm. You're
That's
gonna
the word.
struggle. Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
So
So
PMP,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
and also Scrum as well. I have my Scrum. I'm a Scrum Master, and that has really helped me because projects are moving from the waterfall to an agile methodology,
Mm,
and you need to. It goes beyond having the certification, but it goes to the point of understanding how an agile work frame is, how to build an agile methodology anywhere you are, even in your personal life as well. How
mm,
can you adopt the agile way of thinking and the scrum way of thinking into your day-to-day activities?
mm. That's very important. And I think it also says that you also have the Scrum Coach. What does that give you that's different from, let's say, the Scrum Master?
Yeah, yeah. So what it does is more of like a coach, where you are coaching other scrum masters. So
Mm,
it's like a step ahead of just being the scrum master. So at that point, you're able to coach people on scrum methodologies, people that actually want to go into that space. And also, but on the corporate level, you are looking at project on a bigger scale. You are getting into an organization and you are looking at the organization workforce. Okay, what's happening here? All of the project that is being executed, it's fine. How can we move from the waterfall to the scrum methodology? How do we onboard all of our projects into just one central point that it's going to be easy for management to track the progress and also the pitfall of what we are doing? So it goes beyond just the scrum master, but at this point, you coach people, you coach leaders, and you coach a whole team about the scrum process.
So I know that in all our careers, we've all maybe made mistakes or just faced some challenges. What was one early mistake you made in your career, and how would you kind of like go back, or what would you do differently if you had the opportunity to?
I would say the mistake I made in my career was when I moved into tech. All I heard about tech is you must be very good at coding. You must be good at Python. So there was a semester I struggled with Python. I'm like, oh, my friends are doing Python. I must code. I bought books. I tried for like a whole semester. But I just found out this thing was really not, this thing is really not plugging well. It's not that I'm doing it, but I'm not getting this fulfillment and satisfaction.
Mm,
Really helped me. I read this book. It's called The Strength Finder. When I read the book, A Strength Finder, it talks about your strength. I did this, and I saw that my strength is, it goes beyond just me trying to be the next person. When I found out my strength, this thing has to be, communicating with people, solving problems. I said, you know what? I'm not going to do this thing again. I will do this thing, but this will not be my focal point. It was at that point I moved into I went into business analyst. The first job I got later, I was a senior business analyst at a point, senior data analyst before I got into the technical program manager, because I found out my strength is more of building things and also communicating with people.
mm,
My strength is not just sitting behind the laptop and just coding from morning to night. Some people are good at it. I'm good, but I want to do things that I can be exceptionally good. That
Mm.
when you get into the room and you said, you could point me and said, Ola, this guy is exceptionally good in what he's doing. I want to build a niche in anything I'm doing. I want to carve out a niche for myself. So it was at that point I said, guys, I'm done with you guys. Let me go to my space.
Mm. So, if you're just joining us, welcome to another episode of Working in Tech. This is the podcast where we talk to tech professionals to talk about their strategies and the different things that have helped them in their career so far. If you're enjoying this, leave a like, drop some 100 emojis in a comment to show love to the speaker, and subscribe to the channel because there's a lot more coming where this came from. Again, don't forget to subscribe. We bring this fire every single week. So back to you. One of the things that I saw kind of like researching you is that you've worked across different organizations, leading teams, working with teams, things like that. And I know no two organizations are usually the same. How do you adapt your style to fit the culture and the atmosphere in any given organization?
Yeah, to me, I would say the mistake of people make often time when they switch from one organization to another is to assume.
Mm,
I don't assume.
mm,
Assumption is the worst part of knowledge. It's the least level of knowledge. So when I go into a new space, I don't want to assume because every organization they have different values,
mm,
different ecosystem, what drives them, their vision statements, their mission statements. So when I go into an organization, I want to know what drives them, what exactly is their value. Like for example, when you work at Walmart, one of the value of Walmart, we want to save costs, want to make sure our customer is the best. When you go to another company, some companies are going to tell our number one strategy, it's innovation, it's going to be speed. So when I go into organization, I want to understand their mission statement, their vision statement, their values, and then I now want to tailor everything I'm doing into that value.
mm,
Because at that point, I'll be able to relate. Let's say if the company said they want to save costs. So every project I'm doing, I'll be able to tie my numbers to the fact that, after the execution of this project, we've been able to save $2 million or $3 million. That means I am being aligned to the value of that organization. So that is what has helped me. I don't assume any two organization is the same. I ask for their value system, know what drives them, understand their culture, and see how I can fit into that culture and value system.
It's such a great thing that you mentioned that because, you know, in kind of like interviewing for different companies, I've kind of like seen Amazon and Netflix do this where they actually have culture memos and put out the things that are important to them. But even when a company doesn't put it out very strongly that way, there's still an overarching culture. And that's why, like, again, what you say is 100% spot on. Understanding what that underlying culture for that organization is in that company so that you can first of all even figure out if that's a culture that you're going to thrive in or a culture where you're going to struggle, right? But also most importantly, if you decide that's where you want to go, you can build strategies and build relationships and build your career around the things that make people succeed there. Thank you so much, Adeolu, for the great comments. Yes, we're going to be taking questions, I think, in another 10 to 12 minutes. So please drop them in the comments. We really appreciate them. But again, another question that I had for you before we kind of like wrap this segment up and go to the audience part is for those starting out in tech careers, because I do understand that a big part of my audience are not going to be, are probably not going to go to college, right? I know that there's still a pathway to make it in tech. So, given everything that you've known now, if you had to do it all over again and you didn't have all your degrees, you didn't have all your certifications, how would you basically hustle your way to get that first tech job?
Okay, you said if I don't have my
You don't have
if I have
degrees.
my certifications, right?
Yes, and you don't want to go get them, right? You don't want to go.
Okay.
You just you all you have is your GED. You're trying to build a tech career. How would you do it?
Yes, that's fine. What I would do, it's simple. I'm gonna work backwards.
Mm.
I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to look at those that are in tech. I think that was the mistake I made because I was told, oh, before you get a tech, you need to get a certification, you need to get this, you need to get that. That's fine. I'm just going to work backwards. I'll go check out the resume. People, what are they doing exactly, and how can I do that? For example, I did something very interesting, and it gave me an edge. While I was in school, I just came from Nigeria. I was in the US. I went to Coursera. I took a course in Coursera. Then it was like $10 or so. It was from London Business School. It was on company, it was on business analytics about certain things in London. And they gave me the certificate. Then I added that certificate to my resume. Then I was yet, and I put it there, London Business School, business analytics. It's just $20. You know what? I went for an interview. Oh my God, that guy went to London Business School. I said, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. I broke down before I could tell them it was a short course. I'd already explained everything in details. They were already impressed by my resume. So, like I said, you must find something that will give you an edge. Yeah, you must find. If I won't go to school, I'm telling you, those are the little things I will do. I'll go to YouTube. I'll read about Scrum Master. Even if I can't take a Scrum Master, I'm just going to put it there, Scrum Master training. I bet you the eye of the recruiter would have caught Scrum Master before this thing is training. Oh, wow, you did Scrum Master. So,
Wow, those are some. This is what this channel and this show exists for, to give you the kind of strategies that you're not going to get anywhere else. I really like those responses. So, number one, I couldn't really, I forgot to comment on that when you mentioned it earlier. I think walking backwards is the best advice when you're trying to apply or go into a role. For example, walking back from the even job descriptions they're putting out, walking back from the successful resumes of people who've gotten jobs. I think if you work back from those two things, you're more likely than not to be successful. So that's great. And another one is like find ways to still give yourself an unfair advantage. Even if you can't go get that business, even if you can't go get a bachelor's at Harvard, can you do a Harvard course that still pops up on your resume? Because again, I think there was something that you talked about when you talked about meritocracy is perceived. How do you improve the perception of the people who are going to be looking at you? So don't let the fact that you don't want to go spend 4 years or drop 100,000 on a degree stop you from still figuring out ways to give yourself an advantage. I think that was a really great one.
yeah, let me just say something. I'm sorry to cut you.
No, please go ahead.
I did a short course in Harvard Business School when I was done with my. I think it was. This is the first place I'm gonna say it cost $1,500, and they gave me a discount of $500, and it was 1,000. When I added the Harvard Business School, it's called Harvard Business School Online, to my resume. I had someone reached out to me from Harvard Business School alumni, like, oh, we want to do this and would like to have Harvard Business School alumni. That was how I went to Harvard Business School, and I met a lot of people. They added me to Harvard Business School venture capitalist community. Some people would have paid like over $200,000. I'm like, you know what? I want to be in this caucus. I want to know what these guys are thinking. So there are just different ways.
Hmm. That is so powerful. Again, a lot of free game, guys. A lot of free game. Um, I think the last one that I have right now is, throughout your journey, right? I understand that for most people, there's always some mentorship, whether that's direct in terms of like people actually mentoring you, or that's just other people that you're able to kind of like learn from their journey from afar off. But how has mentorship helped you? And do you have any specific mentor stories that you want to speak to?
I'm going to say this. My career, I began experiencing career growth when I began to plug into mentorship.
Mm,
And mentors have helped me in many ways. I'm telling you. I think the first mentor I had was when I got a job. I got a job at Walmart, then he later became my mentor. So what I do is I schedule one-on-one session with them. What mentorship does is what people don't know. Whenever I get a mentor, I want to give to the mentor. I don't want the mentors to give back to me. All of my mentors, I make sure I know their birthdays. So some of my mentors, I'll be the first person to send them happy birthday. All of my mentors, um, any holiday season, Christmas season, New Year season, different holidays. I used to be the first one that would send them greetings. Like, I want to tell them I also care about them. And the mentorship has helped me in terms of perspective. I remember discussing with one of my mentors that is the vice president, and he told me how he got into that position and the place of mentorship. As he began speaking with me, my perspective began to change. Like, no, why am I even thinking this way? I
Hmm.
am thinking as someone in level 2. Let me begin to think like someone in level 50. So it shaped my mentality. It shaped the way, it shaped my perception. And like I always tell people, success is first being before becoming.
Hmm.
Oftentimes people want to become.
Say that again. You can't brush over that like that. Say it again.
Success, success in any way is being
Hmm.
before becoming. The
True.
being part of success is who you are. And
Hmm.
who you are is a function of the value you've gotten, the knowledge, the value, the things you've internalized into your system. Like, this is my value, this is what I want to do. Those things will drive you. And those things will get into your subconscious mind. When it get into your subconscious mind, I can tell you it's the function of time. You're just gonna hit it big. So when I speak with mentors, I'm really not interested in a mentor giving me a job or giving me money. I want to get their perspective. I want to know I want to know why they are thinking the way they are thinking, and how can I adopt that thinking process. And over time, I found out that it begins to shape my mentality, and somehow I become into who they are so fast. So it's not about becoming. I want to be the vice. No, I don't want to just jump there. When I understand what they know, it's a function of time. It's a function of time. I tell people, it's a function of time.
You know why what you say is so powerful? Because that's something I've been thinking and ruminating about over the past couple of weeks, right? Is this idea of being before becoming. I mean, I didn't think about it in that specific sense, but it's kind of like a similar thing. There's a study that shows that over 90% of lottery winners eventually become broke. These are people who have seen monies that majority of the world are never going to see. So having money did not make them rich. In fact, in many cases, it ends up making them worse off than if they've never seen that money, right? But becoming a real millionaire, and that's why, like, you see, like, when they ask, I think they asked Mark Cuban recently about, if he lost all his money and all he had was a phone and $500, what would he do? He said, get a sales job. The mentality, of course, he may never become a billionaire again because even that in itself takes a lot of luck and chance. But you can be sure that he's not going to be also broke again because he's seen so many levers of like building relationships, selling, so many of those little skills that put you in that top 1% of a person. And there's a reason why, even like as I am now, I'm able to communicate with people and sometimes see, for example, the things that you say about mentorship. There's a reason why a lot of people in mentorship position don't want to give, because oftentimes all they see is people asking, give me, can I have this? Can I have that? So when you become the person who says, take, they're like, wait, tell me what you need. Tell me, I want to hear it. Because they give, that's all people see them for. It's almost like a vending machine.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
moment somebody even comes in and tries to put a little back in, that person gets their full and undivided attention. So that's a
And,
very big unlock right
yeah,
there.
and honestly, that is what people don't know. When I get mentors, I have it behind me. I want to give. I want to give. As in fact, okay, let me share this experience with you. While I was in school, the president of my school, then it was then Thanksgiving. I just sent an email. I just thanked, oh, thank you. This. It was like, thank you for all you do. And it was like, wow, thank you for why? Why did you have to send me this message? I said, I'm in Nigeria. I just came back from I'm just an international. It was like, wow, that's fine. Let me know. When I ran into issue at school at the time, I needed some funds and scholarship. Guess who I went back to? I
Mhm.
went to the same president. Guess what? Within few days, I was able to get the scholarship
Wow.
because I've been able to build that relationship. I tell people, see, relationship is more of like an emotional bond. You can't cash out what you've not deposited.
Mm.
Oftentimes people want to cash out things. You can't. When I meet with people, I don't want to cash out. I don't want to take from
deposit first.
I just want to keep depositing. I just want to keep depositing. When I meet a mentor, I'm not telling them I need a job. No. I just ask them, how is your welfare? I just read this book about Harvard Business Review. Please, can you check this book? Is it going to be helpful to you? Oh, I checked out you are working on so research. Please look at this research. At that time, I'm already forming a perception within them that, you know what, I'm here to give. And I tell you, when people, it's a tested rule. When people know that you are in their life to give to them, to give value to them, it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter who you are. The person could be the president of the United States. You might be the janitor. But if the person knows that this person is here to give me, I'm telling you, that person will do everything to bring you up there. And people just need to understand how it works.
That's big. So on this point, we're gonna roll over to the Q&A, and we already have about 3 waiting for us so far. So Adiolu asks 2 questions, so we're gonna take the first one. For your PMP certifications, were there any requirements or conditions to write the exam and or be a part of PMI?
Okay, the first thing is PMI, just go you can be a member of PMI, go there, register, you would pay for a membership. And to do the exams, they would require that you've executed a project, I think for like 20 hours or 40 hours project. So all of your projects you've executed, yeah, it could be in school, the websites you build in school, those research you did on campus, just package them and break them down. This is what I've done, and it's more of like 20 hours, it's more of like 40 hours. So you just want to see that you have a prior experience in project management. So that's all you do. And I would advise the best way to pass PMP, work backwards. Find all for the exams. That's what I did. I found the recent exams and I began studying those exams. So because the book is so voluminous. It's so voluminous. So I find all the exams, these are the questions, I've already answered virtually all of the questions and answers. So when I was reading the book, it's more like I was already working backwards. So I was able to do that within a very short period of time, and I asked the exams.
That's really great. That's really, really great. So Adeolu also asks, could you dive deeper into getting leaders mentorship circle? What are the challenges and what are any best advice on best practice?
Okay, yeah, let me just give you a runbook for mentorship. Let's say you're in a company and there's an all hands meeting in that company. So what I do is this is my strategy. What I do is this: when I go into such company, let's say VPs giving a speech, and when everybody's done, I look out for the people I want to be their mentors, and I quote the things they've said. Let's say someone said, "Oh, I was in Jamaica last week while I was on board. I was reading this book about economic crunch in US, and this book has really been of help to me. Or last week I listened to this podcast by Simon Sinek. Can you imagine what Simon Sinek said about this?" I pick out those words and I send an email back to them. I don't just want to tell them thank you for the speech. No, that is general. That is vague. When you tell people thank you for the speech, it's general. At this point, I tell them, oh, that was such an insightful presentation. What you said about Simon Sinek building an ecosystem, well, I researched about it yesterday, and I can tell you that is one of the best ways to build a sustainable ecosystem anywhere in the world. In fact, by the way, I've made some research about you on LinkedIn, and it would be my greatest pleasure to be in your mentorship circle. It would be my honor. At that point, you've been able to create there's this, how do I,
it's like a common thread.
You've gotten it. It's not just oftentimes people are coming from when I started mentorship, I found out that when I started the vague one, it wasn't working. I want to be in your mentorship circle, please. You're like, I want to be in my mentorship circle. So I look for key things. Sometimes it could be appreciation, just appreciating people like, oh, I saw the speech you gave at NSB conference. Wow, that blew my mind. In
Mm.
fact, there was one I did. I was with one Nesby president. He wrote a book, and I read the book, and I analyzed it. But I said, "Oh, I read that book you write. In fact, by the way, chapter 14 of that book said this, this, this. That book has really helped me. And chapter 15 said this, 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 this." I said, "Well, to be my pleasure to get to know more of you and to also do a review for a book if you don't get." He was the president of Nesby then. Guess what? I got a reply from him after a week. We became friends.
Mm.
So you have to be strategic in things you are doing. Don't just do things vague. Don't just do things vague.
That's really important. So what are the challenge? I think a third part, because it was a three-part question. It's like, what are the challenges of this kind of like strategy? Or I think you've kind of like touched on them. Is like, don't
Yeah.
be too genuine or don't connect. But what if you do all the right things and maybe the person still isn't interested? How?
Yeah, yeah, I've done mentorship. Some people, for some reasons, it's not their thing. Some people are good leaders, but they are not good mentors. I think when you understand that, it helps you. Some people, I've met some people and they said, oh, okay, let's just be having one-on-one conversation. Don't bring it up. They don't want anything too formal. And some people would reject you not because you are not good. So oftentimes when people reject your request for mentorship, it's not that you are not good. Sometimes it's just their person. They are not cutting for that mentorship thing. And just move on. But I can tell you, if you use the strategy I've given you, 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, you're gonna have a buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
I,
gonna have a buy.
I think just from my own experience, because again, because of like how much visibility, like the stuff I do get a lot of mentorship requests. And I think another thing I can just add very quickly there is that it's also like a very big ask for a lot of people. In some cases, it's like asking someone like, "Can you adopt me to be your son?" To a lot of people, that's a lot of weight, right? So you might be able to finesse it a different way. It's like, again, just make a simple request. What are your ask somebody their perspective on something or a challenge that you have, or ask. So for me, it's like there's three levels of requests. If you go to someone with a very detailed request around, for example, I'm struggling with PMP. I've already watched this video. I've done this. I've done that. But there's so much confusing information. Can you help me distill it? Someone like you will give a very perfect answer. Go watch the last three exams. And if you check it and do 80% of this, you're going to be there. You solved that problem. It didn't take you a lot of time because you're just pulling from experience. The next part is if you've then done that and you say, give me 30 minutes to quickly walk through this thing, the fact that you've done that first bit makes that person want to. That's even one of the ways I've seen giving back to mentorship. It's action. If somebody tells you to do something, actually do the thing, because that way you'll get more. Then when the person gets comfortable with the fact that you're taking action, you're also moving with the advice. You can then ask for that mentorship much later, where at that point is already like there's mentorship there already. So maybe that's another way to kind of like go on, if I could add anything to the things you said. But again, A1 and everything that you said, very powerful. So Janine is asking, how do you handle resistance to change within a team as a PM?
I would say, how do I use this word? Challenges are inevitable anyway. You work. That's number one. Number two is the best way I handle challenges is I try to understand the personality of the people I'm working with. People are diverse, and the diversity of people makes people to act in a certain way. Sometimes it's not them; it's just it's their thinking pattern and maybe background and all of those things. So when I have issues with working with people at team, oftentimes what I do is this: I just schedule a one-on-one with them, and I tell them, and when I'm scheduling a one-on-one with you, I'm not being defensive.
Hmm.
I'm not defensive. I'm not pointing finger. Oh, the project did not work because you did not do so. I sent you an email, you did not reply. Oh, that was I'd never work. I'm like, you know what? Why don't let's have a just why don't let's have like a cup like a coffee chat. You see
Hmm.
what happened in this project. I think we should have, at that point I'm not saying you, I'm saying I think we should have done it this way. What do you think? I'll just say, you know what? Here I'm not here to cast the blame on anyone, but I just wanted us to just talk as a team. What's your perception about this thing? Like, what do you think? How do you think would have done this thing better? Let them do the talking. You see, when you give people an opportunity to talk, what you are trying to do is this: you're actually attaching some level of importance to them, and everybody wants to feel importance.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to feel important. But when you don't let me, no, no, no. Why do you say I don't like? They're like, oh, so you want to talk to me that way? I'm just saying, you know what? Please, I was like, please, can you let me know how you think we'd have done this thing? How you think we should have handled it this way? Let them do the talking. Then from the talking, you begin to ask questions and tell them, oh, I think this does not go this way. Next time, maybe we could have, done it in a different way. Because at that point, you're also making them to feel some level of importance. So that's the approach I have. I've had issues with working with people, but I still come back and tell them, you know what, we still need to work as a team. Nothing personal, nothing personal. Yeah,
It's
so don't take it personal.
That's a really, really important point that you pull out. You see, I hear so many times where people will say, like, product managers and program managers don't do anything. And it's easy to see why people would say that. But you see this thing that you said, because oftentimes the hardest thing to do anywhere is to bring people together to work together. There's so many differences, so many challenges. And having this kind of skills and tools in your locker where even sometimes like there's so much pressure that can be resolved by what you're talking about. It's like just let people let out steam. Oftentimes, it's interesting that we have 2 ears and one mouth, but we still want to speak more than we listen. And it's like oftentimes problems are not even problems. They're just this big misunderstanding that's hanging in the air. And if you let people talk it out, they can always work it out. So great, great advice. Hey, for more great advice, this is the Working in Tech live stream. We bring tech professional every single week. This week, this is the first of a three-header. We're having Olatunde today. On Friday, we're having Arit and Jasmine back to back. It's going to be power packed, you bet. So subscribe, like, share with your friends, let them know. Hey, you see it's a lot of value, so don't keep it to yourself. We got two more questions. One from John K. It says, what's one time when your communication skills have helped you make a breakthrough in a project?
What one time my communication skills?
Helped you make a breakthrough in a project?
Yeah, I did not get that question. Please, can you?
So again, I think it's similar to the last question. So it's more like, you were working on a project, maybe the project was locked,
Yeah.
but this is kind of like more of a real life scenario. And you were able to basically communicate your way out of, as a communication ninja, out of
Okay.
that situation.
Okay. Yeah. I will give it. There was a project we actually working on when I started, and um because as a PM you work with cross-functional team, the engineering team, the vice president, the marketing, the sales, the one who gives. So there was a time there was, what the VP was saying is different from what the engineers wanted to build. They're like, we are the engineers, this is what we want to build. And the people on the marketing team are like, we're going to dance to what the VP wants. And the engineers are saying, you know what, this is what is obtainable in the market. If we build what executive wants, we can build it, but you know what? This is not going to scale in the market. So there was a lot of, tussle here and there. So the best way I just did was I just had a one-on-one with them. I'm like, guys, we're not gonna go anywhere with this. I know you guys are like, because I can't set up a meeting where the vice president is there and engineers are there, like telling vice president we can't get it. The vice president, you know what, you guys are on fire, get out of this place. I'm like telling them, you know what, guys, there's a different way we're gonna do this, and the way we're gonna do this. Don't say to anyone we can't do this. Tell them we're gonna give them two scenarios. This is what we want to build. When we build product A, we are going to generate, let's say, $1 million. When we build product B, we are going to generate $200,000. Product B is what the vice president wants us to build. Product A is what the engineers want us to build. Don't say that is what the engineers want to build, because when you go to tell executive that is what you want to build, it's like, why would he be telling us what we want to build? I said, then went into the meeting and I recorded that. And I said, we've made a lot of research. We got two products. This product, these are all the functionalities, but we're going to get $1 million in return. This product, these are the functionalities. You all know them, but it's going to give us $200,000. You're like, oh, okay, let's dive deep. We did a lot of search. You know what? We later went for the one that will give us $1 million without knowing that's the same product they said they don't want. So it's just, you just need to know how to break things.
Wow. Wow. You're dropping so many gems today. I really wish we wouldn't stop, but we're kind of like a little over time. But we have one final question that I really want to go over. And this is a really, really great question. So Adewumi says, great conversation so far, Juwan and Olatunde. How can you land a first program manager role without prior experience?
Okay, yeah, thank you. It's still the same thing. If I don't have a program, okay, now let me give example. Let me give my wife. My wife works more as a program manager, as a Scrum Master, but she never had more of a program manager. What we did was just backward. I said, you know what? Let's go to Coursera. I think University of Pennsylvania is taking a course on project management, and it was, I think it was like $10 or so. And I know University of Pennsylvania is well-respected university, well-respected. We took the course, $20. She did everything, read it all, and we got the certificate. I said, let's add it to that resume. If the recruiter is not going to catch your school in Nigeria, the recruiter's eye is going to catch University of Pennsylvania. Even more than your MSc, I'll put it there. And all of the things she has done there, put it there. And most of all of our job experiences in the past, they were all tailored towards the aspect of a program manager. Because see, people want an ideal world. But I don't know where an ideal. Someone said utopia is only possible in the mind. If you want an ideal world, I'm going to give you an ideal world. I'm going to give you an ideal world. I'm going to tailor everything I've done in an ideal manner. That's what you want. I've not lied. I've not done anything mischievous, but I've been able to break down all of the things she has done. Everything was tailored. For example, maybe a salesperson said, we sold this thing for $2 million. A program manager said, you know what? I communicated with the vice president and we're able to look at this project we wanted to do and see this thing is going to give value to this. And we built the project. It's the same thing, but communicated in different
even if you have a role that's not in the past. So everybody has some experience, whether that's school experience, internship, whatever. Find ways to pull out those experiences, right? And reward it. Because if you think about it, I always say, everybody is a project manager, everybody's a program manager. It might not work for every role. You can't say that you've done data when you've not done data before, right? But when it comes to things like project and program management, everybody is. It's just like you might not be a very good one, but you are. And there are ways that you can convert your experiences to
built a website. You built a website in school, a project manager.
Yes.
You worked there. But in fact, a software developer is also a project manager. What did you guys do? You build software. How did you build the software? We're able to communicate with my manager. We're able to look at all the. You understand? It's been able to. Sometimes when I say, we say, oh, it's because you're a project manager. I said no. I'm trying to break this thing so simple so people will see. You can, if I'm starting all over again, I'm going to align everything I'm doing into the project. So when you see me, you have this, oh man, this guy's a project manager from day one. But no, I've just been able to tailor most of the things I'm doing.
Wow. That's a really, really great way to end it. Thank you so much today. This has been a really, really, really enjoyable and great conversation with so many different gems. I'm going to give you like 30 seconds to kind of like say any things that you want to say. Thank you so much to everyone for joining today. The floor is
yours. Thank you, John. Thank you for this opportunity. I greatly appreciate it. And I think my parting words to everybody, it's irrespective of the field you find yourself, have this mind that things are possible. Honestly, if I were to leave project management and I veered into something else, maybe into politics, into software engineering, I'm still going to do exceptionally well because there's just a rule of thumb in anything. You know what? Have an open mind and be ready to learn. If you have those two things, you can scale in anything. Just have an open mind and be willing to learn. Like Steve Jobs said, be hungry and be stupid. Be hungry, get anything and be stupid, because I think using the word stupid in that context is you are not proving to anybody that you know anything. You are coming to people, you know what? I'm ready to know. Then please, I'm ready to know. I want to learn from you. I'm not coming as a master. I'm coming as someone that is ready to learn. So it's going to work across board. Yeah. Thank you.
That's really great. Thank you so much, everyone. And that's our stream for tonight. We'll see you again on Friday. Like, share, subscribe. Look forward to seeing you guys.
Yep. Thank you.